as promised, I want to talk to you a little bit about my art journal and how I made it. The first thing I want to talk about is the cover. The cover I made using 10 Second Studios tools and metals. You can buy craft metal that comes in a roll just like this, and that's exactly what I did. It started out flat. I mean, I know it's hard to imagine that this was actually this, but it did start out that way. And what I used specifically were these molds. I used this one. This one here is the center. You can see that. And then this one here, this is what I used to do the sides, and you can see how intricate that is. And that's what made the total combined design on the front cover. Now, I told you that I bought the little purse that comes with it. Yeah, this is the little satchel that comes with the 10 Second Studios, or you can buy it for them. And it fits all of their tools and stuff. Yes, I bought the thing and then had to buy the tools to fit it. But basically what you're going to do, and believe me, 10 Second Studios, their website and their demos and their DVDs do this so much more justice than I can. But basically, you use the mold and you put them down, and I taped mine to the back side of the metal so that it wouldn't shift on me. And you put this down, and then you use this tool and you rub so that you can see the imprint. And then you're going to use, and I'm sure these all have names, one of these tools with the point on it to get into those grooves and define it really well. And then I did the same thing with the outside, the molds that went around the side, and I just put them over like that and then just only did around where this block laid. So that's basically that, and that was a really quick tutorial on how to do that, and because I've only done it once, so I'm no expert on doing that. But I just wanted to let you know how the cover was made. And then these are some grommets. These are fabric grommets. These are not scrapbooking grommets. These are double-sided, so they look just as nice on the finished side as they do on the front side. And the pages on the inside, that's kind of really where I want to start, because like I said yesterday, it's this great free alternative to using cardstock or the expensive watercolor paper. And I mean, I don't know if you can see it real close, but these pages are fairly thick and they're layered. They're layers of pages. They are made from newspaper. Yes, newspaper. Free resource. And basically what I did is layered about 10 to 12 pages of newspaper and put glue stick in between each layer, and then they end up pretty hard because the glue stick dries, and end up with a really cool substrate to paint on and stamp on. Now, I also did the same thing using book pages. So like this one right here, I made using some dictionary pages, and instead of painting with white paint, I painted with cream because the page was already cream. But this one right here, I did some stamping on it as well. This one was made with just regular newspaper, and you can actually see right about here it says Carolina Living. Can you see that? Yeah. So this was just taken from a regular Sunday newspaper. Alright, so basically I'm just going to go through that really quick, and I'm going to go through the process of painting it. Now, I will tell you that I did learn a couple things. I learned that the old book pages, because they are, I guess, just aged, they didn't give me as crisp a page as I like the newspaper. The newspaper one, well, number one, it was easier to get because I get it every day, and I just like that one more. And it was whiter, so I guess if you were going to do some kind of cream or antique color, go with an old book. But if you're going to paint white on the background, then go with newspaper. So I'm going to do a little, show you how it was done. Oh, here's my other thing that I want to show you. Okay, so I did both of these this morning. I did this one with glue stick, and as you can tell, it's really hard. This one I did with gel medium, which is more wet, and it's kind of floppy. It's still moist on the inside. So you can do it with any kind of adhesive. I suggest not like tape. I would do it with a glue stick, which is really cheap, or I wouldn't do it with a wet adhesive because it just doesn't dry as quick, I guess would be the way to say it. So you can do it with anyone, but I just prefer like good old-fashioned glue stick. Alright, so basically what I did is I have a stack of newspaper. So I've just been tearing up the newspaper as I get it, and one of the easiest ways I found to get the consistent size, my book is 9 by 9, is I had an acrylic book. I had bought like an acrylic book, and this is a 9 by 9 book. I think it's Rusty Pickle actually. And I've just been using that to use as a tear guide. So I take the newspaper. Let's see who I'm going to tear up this morning. Sorry, people. And I go towards the end of the newspaper. Don't go where it's folded because you really want to have separate pages. And I just go towards the end, and again, it's a little bit bigger than my book. And I found I start at the corner and just tear. And, you know, who cares if it tears perfectly? Most times it doesn't. I don't want it that big, so I might just go in and kind of tear. But that's just as easy as it is. You just tear, and I've got about 6 or 7, maybe 5 pages here that I just then throw on the pile for my next book, so, or my next page. Alright, so I'm going to just glue these together, and this is as simple as it gets. I just take my regular old glue stick, and I want to make sure that I go around the edges. Well, doesn't matter if it rips, because it's going to be stuck together. I go around the edges, and I try to get as much as the inside as possible. Okay, how about I start over again? As possible. Then I take another page, and I put it right on top. And it doesn't matter if you go upside down or sideways. I kind of like it that I go in different directions because this way I get text running in different directions, and I also get like different sized angles. It's not the same size going over and over again in repeated patterns. So I'm just gonna keep going. There you go. And as I do like maybe like 3 pages, I take my brayer and I just roll over it just to make sure I get a lot of the air bumps out and make sure it's flat, make sure it's sticking as well too. And don't worry about getting bumps in there because who cares? That's just the beauty of newspaper and glue. So again, I just keep going and going and going. I just keep layering on. You do want to make sure you get the edges. You don't want it to come open or fall apart. But if you don't, you can go back later and put something on the edges. That's no big deal. Alright, so basically I'm just doing this over and over again, about 10 pages. And like I said, you'll end up with a page that looks something like this. And this poor guy probably should read that article. But anyway, looks something like this. Now, I want to have it be a little bit more interesting. So I tend to like to paint my pages before I put them in the book. It's kind of like a starting place for me. I get inspiration. So all of my pages I paint first, and I basically paint both sides. I just kind of wash it on like this. I do whatever I want. Now I put on my blog the other day, my favorite paint color in the entire world is the Adirondack Dabber Pool. I just think it's the best turquoise ever. So I'm going to use that, and I also like to use white. I like to blend them together. This one I actually used cream, but I'm going to use white on this one. So I usually start with a white base, and I just go over. And you might want some of the text, especially if it's an article that has like something pertinent to your life, or maybe even the date might be something you want to keep on there, especially if it's the day that you are going to complete the page, because then you won't have to put the date on your art journal page. And I use any kind of white I have laying around. I happen to have Making Memories, but white is white. I think Making Memories is a little bit thicker too than like say the one you get on like the cheap section of Michael's. Alright, and then I just kind of go for it. I just blend the whites together, the white and the blue together, and make a couple different colors. I kind of like the bumps there because it gives me a little bit of texture, and then it misses some spots too, which, you know, whatever. But this is, I mean, this is as simple as it gets. And I do kind of like painting on the ends, because it makes them a little bit more stiffer and stick together. But you don't have to paint them with a color. You can just go paint them white. But yeah, there you go. And then if you decide, okay, that's just not the color I want, then you let it dry or you blend another color in. But I mean, it basically as simple as that. And now let me just tell you something that's totally random, but my workspace, I buy the craft paper in a roll. So I put that on my workspace before I do anything, and I usually leave it on for a couple weeks. And this square that I've created will be here now forever until the next thing I do. Now, this will take probably about only 5 minutes to dry. If you want to speed it up, you can take like your embossing gun and just kind of heat it up. It won't ruin it. I mean, it's only newspaper and there's really no way to ruin newspaper, but it will end up something like this. And then, because I like that color blue, if you can see on my book, I did, after it was all said and done, I went back and I kind of brushed some cream and white and some turquoise paint into the sections here so it would kind of recess into the grooves. I painted it all on, and then I took a baby wipe and a paper towel and then rinsed off the other parts of it. So I just kind of wanted to keep that theme, I guess, going. And then on the inside, I just, you know, I stamped a little bit, and then I took a sewing machine and I sewed around the stamps just randomly. You can put this through the sewing machine, no problem. I mean, it stitched like a dream. And this is the Ranger embossing, the Distress, the Tim Holtz Distress powder on there. The back side of that page, you see I have just, you know, I just randomly did a little art journal. Again here, this is done with some watercolor crayons and some watercolor pencils. And it's a really good medium. It takes everything. This again, a lot of people ask me what I use to draw, like why my black lines are so black. Basically, I use a dip pen and some India ink, and that really gives you a nice black crisp line. But I've also found drawing on the acrylic paint on these pages is a lot easier than it was like on a canvas. So yeah, basically super simple. This is again some more watercolor crayons, some more watercolor pencil. Now I don't know if I'm finished with these. It's kind of like I just do a little bit of work and then I might finish them up later or decide I'm not finished or whatever. And the same thing here. And now this one, I did the embossing, but then I just stitched on some lace on the edge. Same thing here. I stitched around the page, and this has the stamps. I was enjoying that stamp. This one I just glued on some envelopes before I stitched around. Now the inside of these covers, because I really wasn't sure how to finish, I should probably ask Cheryl. I bet you could just cut a piece of metal that was flat, that was the same size, and she suggests a certain adhesive sheet to put on it. But I just put some adhesive down. I use those adhesive sheets, and then I just put one of the pages I had made and stuck it on the inside because I thought that was just as easy. The front cover I actually started to alter on it. But yeah, that's basically my demo for my art journal. So I hope you enjoyed it.